Happy Tuesday, Everyday Athlete Podcast Network listeners. Thank you for joining me on this special episode of the Fireside Chat. I'm going to be joined by Derrick Song, who you may recall joined us a number of months ago, who was preparing to run in Seoul and Tokyo at the time, and he's now done that. So we're going to catch up with him on that, plus his goals for upcoming event in 8 months at CIM. I'm super excited to catch up with him on those plans as he's starting to chronicle it on Instagram. So make sure you go check him out, Derrick versus the World, VS versus the World. But before you leave us and go over to Instagram, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can also subscribe, rate, review, and comment on that platform too. Look, no lie, it's going to help us with the algorithm, which I appreciate. But just as much as that is, I love talking to you people. When I wake up in the morning and I see 2, 3, 4, 5 comments on Spotify and YouTube, it makes my day. And don't you want to make my day? I'd want to make my day if I were you. So go ahead and do that. Also, don't forget that the Everyday Athlete Clubhouse is still open. We have a new discount code in there from our newest marketing partner, Hettas, Hettas, which is a shoe designed specifically for women. But men, that doesn't mean that you can't purchase a pair and give them to your favorite running partner or run in them yourself. I have run in women's shoes before, and they work perfectly fine. Feet are feet, so make sure you check those out. So without any more rambling from me, let's get Derrick on the show and let's have some fun like we did the last time. Brother, how are you?
Hey, how you doing? Long time no see.
Yeah, it has been a long time no see. Are you still jet lagged from your trip? I know Tokyo and Seoul were a little while ago, but has it been hard to catch up?
Nah, I got back 2 weeks ago, and I know the secret to not getting jet lag, so I'm all good.
You want to fill us all in on what the secret is?
It's easy. You just gotta stay. You just gotta stay up late enough to go to bed at your normal bedtime. So whether that means like staying up for an extra 12 or 20 hours or whatever, as long as you force yourself to go to bed at like 11 p.m., um, you should reset within a day.
I'm going to use your advice. In a couple of weeks, we're heading over to Europe for about 7 to 10 days. I'm not exactly sure the count. So I will test your theory and report back when we get back to the States at the end of April.
Yeah, you just want to land like as close to your bedtime as possible. So for example, like don't land in the middle of like the morning because then you got to stay up all day to like get to bedtime. But if you land at like, I would say like 5 o'clock, then you got a couple hours to eat dinner. And then, but if you land too late, then you might be tempted to like stay up all night. Anyway, so that's the trick. You get it.
Well, I appreciate that. So fill me in. How did you went and you raced the Seoul Marathon as well as the Tokyo Marathon, and you had been putting in the work, following you on Instagram. You could see all the posts and all the great videos that you create, putting in the work as you were heading over there. So which one was there a race A versus race B in this situation, or were you kind of playing it by ear where if Seoul went well, you'd be happy with whatever Tokyo became, or if Seoul was more like the warm up and Tokyo was the main platter? What was the idea and concept going into the events?
So Tokyo was the main race. Tokyo was first, and then Seoul was the B race. You're not supposed to run two marathons like that close to each other. They were 2 weeks apart. You're not supposed to do that. So the idea was like run one hard, go for a PR, and then the other one just run at party pace and don't go too crazy. And that way I get to run two marathons in the same month and like not do terrible damage to my body. That didn't really go. That wasn't exactly how it went because, well, first of all, Tokyo was great. I ran Tokyo, I mentioned last time, with my best running friend, Krista, and she came. So we were in Tokyo together. And so that was super cool. Really, really fun. You know, it's already fun to run with your best running pals, just sharing miles and like yapping on the road. But getting to do a world major with your best running pal and like getting to run a marathon and doing it fast, we finished with like 3:21 and change. So like this is not like a BS type of time. It was cool. It was it was a very special and unique experience. I The issue with the Tokyo Marathon was that it was actually a pretty hot day. Like they put out a heat warning the day before the race, so it was a hot one. It was only like, I think we were running in like 65-degree weather, but for what's supposed to be winter, that's like pretty
Yeah.
warm. So I didn't have the best race. I actually like forgot electrolytes somehow. I don't know how I did that, but I did. I mean, look, like Krista had stuff, I had stuff. It was just not like a cleanly executed A+ race. It was like a B+. We ran well. Krista PR'd by a little bit. We had a goal. We had a goal of sub 320, and we were like a minute and a half over, which we could have done better than. We just didn't. And it was kind of bittersweet, because on one hand it was such a unique experience and it was so special to us as friends. On the other hand, we had to deal with like the whole like set a goal and didn't reach it thing. And so I had always thought about it like, well, we'll see what happens. And what actually happened was that I felt unsatisfied by the first race. That's what happened. So, Krista was like, don't hurt yourself. Be careful. I talked to my coach. We prepared for this. We talked about it months in advance, and yeah, because I wanted to leave the door open to giving it a go, like to actually run Soul hard. What she prescribed me was just 2 weeks of rest, like very like almost zero running and training and all that. And what was nice about being in Asia between these two marathons was that almost every hotel we stayed at had hot springs in them.
Okay.
Have you ever stayed in like a Japanese hot spring?
I have not, but I've been in hot springs.
I mean, it's like a jacuzzi, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, but it's like real mineral water, and that stuff's
Right.
supposed to be good for your skin or joints or something. I was sitting in hot water like 2 hours a day, almost every day for like 2 weeks, which was pretty nice. I want to
Yeah.
say that might have helped the recovery, but like I really just was on vacation, working very little, not doing too much. So, coach said, well, after a week, we'll try out the legs, see how you feel. And then I did, and I felt great. But more importantly, when I got to Korea, I don't know if you can tell, but I am Korean. Like Korean, I am ethnically Korean. And I've never actually been to Korea as an adult. It's been like 20 years. Anyway, when I got to Korea, it was like the first time I had been there. And I felt really, I don't know, it was like emotional for me.
Oh, that's cool, dude.
I felt connected to the country, and like it was like the first time in my adult life that I really wanted to identify with being Korean. And
Yeah.
like I was, my Korean sucks, so I never use it. But then I was like using it over there and practicing, and I just felt like very Korean, and I was mingling with the people, and I just felt accepted. So I ended up wanting to have a huge race for that reason. Like once I got there, I was telling coach, I'm like, I feel this energy. I'm in the motherland. Like I've never felt this way. Is it okay if I go big here? And we did like 1 or 2 runs, and she said seems fine to me. And she knew how excited I was. She could tell like how I felt about almost using the race to like talk to the country. Like I haven't been here most of my life. I'm like an American dude. But now I'm really like digging being Korean, and I'm in Korea, and there's this marathon coming up, and like running is all I do. So let's like do this big and show Korea who we are, like in the form of running. I mean, that's kind of like what went on in my head. So she cleared me to do it. And then I ended up like beating my PR by like 5 minutes. So the finish I didn't want in Tokyo, like I avenged that in Seoul. And so it was like a cool little storyline. It's a cool little narrative.
I have a whole bunch of follow-up questions, but before I get to that, you opened the door because you said you forgot your electrolyte. So anybody who's listening, we have a discount code with Tailwind, and it's Run Try Mag 15. If you've never used Tailwind before, 15% off your first purchase. So thanks, Derrick. We did not plan that. He just mentioned that he forgot his electrolyte. So people go use that discount code if you've never used Tailwind before, and you'll save 15%.
You need your
Here's what
electrolytes.
what's that?
You need your electrolytes. They're very
You
important.
absolutely, yes. Do not forget. I wrote down you wanted to run so hard. And so before you told the rest of that story, I was wondering, what does that mean? Was it a time goal, or was it more like, I want to be able to run this and feel like I'm at like RPE 7 or 8 throughout the entire marathon? I want to run it hard, and whatever the time is, the time is.
Yeah, it's an effort thing. It was just like I was just so hyped to be in the country. Okay, what ethnicity are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm Puerto Rican, and I'm going to touch on this in a minute because I literally just posted about it's never too late to be yourself. And so I wrote
Okay.
that down based on you talking about being Korean, and I wanted to get into that. So
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah.
segue.
So have you ever run a marathon in Puerto Rico?
I've raced Ironman 70.3 in Puerto Rico twice.
Okay, so that will kind of count. I don't know how diverse or not the field is there, but even starting the run club events that I attended prior to the Seoul Marathon, I attended some like Korean running club events, and like in America, Koreans are obviously like one of the ethnic minorities. You know what I mean? So wherever I'm at, the norm is that there's not that many people that are Korean.
Right.
Over there, everywhere I went, 99% of everyone was Korean. So that flip of just like nobody looking like me to everyone looking like me was such a trip. And then like this whole running thing that I'm used to doing, like I'm used to running world majors or at running clubs all over the place, or like I'm used to this, but I've never done it that way, where like everyone looked like me. And I'm like, well, this is
Yep.
fucking crazy. And not only that, like this is not at the beginning of my running career. I'm actually pretty good. So all these Korean people who I don't know, but feel strangely familiar because we look like each other, they're like meeting me for the first time. They're like, hey man, you know, what are you about? What's up? And when they find out, you know, I'm here to challenge 320 or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I'm a fast runner. Like it was cool that I got to meet Korea with the Derrick versus World side of my personality.
Yeah.
And that just got me fired up to be like, let me show them what I got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is not the one to like party pace and just like lag and do whatever. Like I don't know. I wanted to like show off for my country. You know what I mean? And I just, yeah, the level of effort, like my mental gas tank was like very full. You know what I mean? I wanted to go. I'm not really a big pace person. I don't really like paces. Even when I'm doing speed workouts, if my coach says run for 1 minute intervals at like 6:30 pace, let's say, I just translate that to be a level of effort thing. Like, oh, that sounds like a 7 out of 10. And then if 7 out of 10 ends up being faster than that, like, cool. Or like if she gives me 1 minute reps, I think to myself, I'm going to run as fast as I can so that my energy runs out after 1 minute. I don't know. Like that's kind of how I take the cues. But
Yeah.
either way, I don't like running towards numbers. You know, I just want to run towards some kind of like effort. And so for this race, I wanted to not think about an exact number of like goal time or goal pace or whatever. I just wanted to have a great race in terms of feeling like I was running hard the whole time, and hopefully I left nothing in the tank at the end. Like that type
Yep.
of race. I just wanted to have a clean race.
Yep.
And I definitely had more, to be honest. Like I ran I ran a 3:17:02. I think I had 3:15 that day. Like it wasn't even a perfect race. So like I was fired up. I was
Yeah.
fired up. Like my last mile was one of the fastest ones. I averaged like a 7:30, but the final mile was probably a sub 7 mile for me if I didn't stop to hug my family.
Were you as fired up at the Seoul Marathon as you were when the Brazilian jumped out onto the race course when you were in
Oh, bro,
Rio?
no, way more, bro. Way more. This is a veteran marathoner like showing up to kill. Like I was fired up before the race started. Like it was really all business. Like I was so serious for this race because other races that I was serious about, I didn't know what I was doing as much. But I'm getting like more experience at actually like attacking the distance and like getting that optimal performance out of my body. Like now I'm getting closer to like leaving less and less in the tank, so that when I cross the finish line, I'm not satisfied unless there's like sufficiently nothing left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to touch on the experience because there's a growing and a learning curve that you have here as we get into the training and discussing about CIM. But I want to go back to the Korean and being Korean bit for a bit
Yeah.
because I literally posted just today about being a Puerto Rican in the endurance sports world and not seeing um, examples of Puerto Ricans in this space. There's not a lot of us running around. And so always questioning my identity and what am I doing here? And I'm not Hispanic enough for the Hispanics, and I'm white presenting. So I'm also not white enough to be white.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so when you're here in the States and you're running and you're not seeing many Koreans, were you ever questioning whether or not you belonged in this space? Because there may have been fewer examples of Koreans and you would look around and be wondering, like, where are other Koreans?
No, I identify with the Mexicans, man. I'm from Southern California. You know what I mean? Like I never, to begin with, I didn't expect things to be Korean around me. I identify as like, I'm a Korean American dude that lives in Southern California. So I really grew up around Mexicans.
Right.
So I'm closer to Mexican American than like Korean American. And I started running with the Venice Run Club, which is like probably predominantly white. So I had zero expectations of, I like always expected to be, I guess, ethnically the minority. Like I'm one of the 5%ers, like always. So yeah, and I'm not the most Korean person. My Korean language skills are like pretty below average. But this was a really cool part of this trip was my experience in Korea. I was very nervous about not feeling accepted. I felt like they would be like, this dude's from America. Like you know, I don't know, something like, we caught him. He's a faker. Like that dude, he's him, like right there. Like he's not real.
And I laugh because I understand that, but because again, like when I was growing up, my parents moved us at a young age from the Bronx, where I was going to school with Juans and Jose's and Marias, but my babysitter didn't speak Spanish. So I didn't learn to speak Spanish growing up. And so when we moved out to the suburbs and we're in a predominantly white neighborhood, like there was almost zero chance I was going to learn to speak Spanish at this point. And so like now when I run into Hispanics and they ask me if I speak Spanish, like I'm already like moving myself backwards because I'm like, I do a little bit, but I don't want to embarrass myself. So I'm going to say no, a little bit, un poquito, and let them try to work English into the conversation. So I understand where you're coming from.
Right. Well, so check this out. You'll appreciate this then. I get to Korea. I go to the running clubs. My friends back in America who know these clubs, they recommend events and stuff. And what I found was that most of the younger people, especially in the running communities, they spoke English. So there was like zero issue communicating with people. Or even if they didn't, they would know somebody that spoke English, like really, really easy. Secondly, at times they got me to use my Korean. Like the moments appeared where like I did a little bit. And what I found was that no one treated me like my Korean was bad. Now I'm sure they could tell that it was like not like it's Americanized or he's not native speaker or whatever, but like I got way less grief in actual Korea about my language skills than I do in America. In America, I got other Korean Americans or whoever like saying stuff or negative vibes about it. But in actual Korea, they're like, why would you have perfect Korean? You're from America. Like you, in fact, like you speak, some of them were telling me you speak more than some other people I've seen. Like I can understand you fine. I felt very accepted.
Okay.
Like instead of feeling different for being from America, I realized they already knew what Koreans from America were. That's like already a known category. And they're like, oh, you're just in that category, but you're still Korean. So I felt like super accepted. And that was something I wasn't necessarily expecting. So that also fueled my whole, like, I want to run this bitch
I
hard
was gonna ask
because
that.
like
Yeah.
I love these are my people. I knew they were my people, but I didn't know I'd feel like embraced by my people.
Right.
And so when I felt that love, I wanted to give it back by running the hell out of this marathon. It's the only way that I could communicate to these people that I love them.
Isn't it amazing how that level of acceptance alleviates, I don't know if that's the right word, but the stress that you may have felt in, am I going to be accepted, and what is this race about? Like, all of a sudden it eases everything and gives you that hype that you need or want, really, to make it a successful event for yourself. Like, were you feeling that, or was it just like, were you conscious of it, is really what I want to ask, of that change and that dynamic, or was it just happening and you were like, I'm in it, man?
From the moment I went to the first Run Club event, like by meeting those groups and feeling that way, I just felt that way about the whole city and the country and the culture. And it was just, I felt comfortable from then on. It didn't feel like running in Berlin or London or some city or country I've never been to. It felt very familiar. Like I didn't feel uncomfortable anywhere, like, especially for anyone who is an ethnic minority in America who runs. I would strongly recommend going to your home ethnicity's country and running a race there because it's cool. It's like
Is.
just the experience of looking around and everyone looking like me. That is special amongst the 11 marathons I've done. Like no other race outside of a Korean race will it be like that.
I agree with you. So I've raced 70.3 Puerto Rico, like I mentioned, and I didn't go with friends and family. So there, and I did, my family has mostly moved to the United States. So there wasn't like there's family in Puerto Rico to cheer and spectate and whatnot. So I didn't have the personal connection there, but what I did have was the cultural connection. So the food that was readily available to eat, and the music that was being played, and hearing Spanish being spoken on a regular basis, it changed everything in that moment, because it was like, okay, this feels comfortable. Like, I understand what's happening around me, even if I don't understand all the words that are being spoken.
You're at
And
home, dude.
yeah, it really does change the stress level for me and the anxiety for me, because once, and I said it's a half Ironman. Once I got in the water, right, I'm an anxious swimmer. Like, I am an uber anxious swimmer, and so we're in the water, and all of a sudden it just didn't matter. We're swimming in Puerto Rico, and
Right.
this is awesome.
Right.
And like everything faded away, and I had a great race there because of that.
It's exactly how I felt, dude. I'm running in Seoul. I'm running with my people. Like what is there to think about? Let's do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you met people at run clubs there, and actually the question I want to ask first is: you said your friends from here in the States gave you run clubs to attend. So are they Korean friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Koreatown Run Club in LA
Yep.
has relationships with some run clubs in Seoul that are all sponsored by Nike Running.
Okay.
So this is like the Nike Running family of clubs in Seoul. And so they've got a killer series of events that they do for the Seoul Marathon. It's called Bridging the Gap. It's a welcome run, it's a shakeout run, and it's an after party. All of the events are killer, sponsored and well funded by Nike. Production quality's high. After party was lit. Koreans have fun for sure. Yeah, man, it was. I made a lot of friends there. Korea, I think like those two clubs, Koreatown Run Club and 88 Seoul Private Road Running Club and Seoul Venus, they've done collaborations together. So they are, like, I guess, considered sister clubs to some degree. And there was 6 people from Koreatown Run Club present there.
Okay.
So I kind of joined their group. There was like other local LA based runners that I like ended up sharing a couple of meals with and stuff like that.
So you said at the Tokyo Marathon, you ran with your best running pal.
Yep, Krista.
And Krista, correct?
Yes.
And you said, and I think I wrote this down correctly, that you were talking as you were running this 321. Is that correct?
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like full on conversation. You weren't discussing,
Right.
You political.
We were having a good time though, man. Like, it wasn't like, grueling hard work the whole time. Like, we were enjoying ourselves. It was cool.
So now you're in Korea and you have run with a couple of run clubs. Are you running with somebody else? Because Krista's not at Seoul, correct?
No.
So did you go to this to the Seoul race with the idea that I'm going to be running with somebody, or is this going to be a solo endeavor?
No, it was solo. I mean, I could have tried to meet up with meeting up with some of the people I had met didn't really happen. I actually got into like a corral later than mine, which didn't help me, but yeah, I basically ran it by myself. I had my parents waiting for me at the end, which was cool. Um, but yeah, no, otherwise it was a solo mission.
Was there ever a moment during Seoul, because you ran 3:17, which is 5 minutes faster than what you had PR'd just a few weeks earlier, and was there ever a moment in that race during Seoul where you were like, I really wish I had somebody to even just to say a few words to, like, just have that company with me, even if we don't say anything?
No, I mean, I've done 11 marathons now. It's the distance. I don't want to say it's nothing, but I'm familiar with that distance. I was very locked in on that day. Like, I mean, it was the best race I've run in my entire life. Like that. It's my PR. It obviously is, but mentally, it felt easy. There was no wall. There was no like getting tired. I think it took, for the most part, whatever I told my body to do, it did until about mile 23. And then at mile 23, I was telling my body we're running 7:15. And then that mile finished, and I looked down at my watch and it said 7:35. And that was the first time that my body couldn't deliver for my mind. But up until then, whatever, the pilot in my head was telling body to do, body cooperated. And that's kind of just, I don't know. That's how I felt about it. I was just locked into delivering a performance for Korea.
Racing a marathon or an ultra distance is a series of problem solvings. So when you're in this mindset of we're running 7:15 and 7:35 shows up, how do you solve this problem to get down to 7? Are you looking to get down to 7:15, or do you say to yourself, I'm going to accept what my body is giving me, and right now it's 7:30?
I would probably first do a mental check of, was there elevation? And like, maybe I am running at the same level and I just got to like let that one go. If the body is starting to fail a little bit, if I have extra gels, there might be a decision to make there about like moving up the gel sequencing. It could be a bitch check, and like that I'm losing my focus and I need to lock the fuck in. Like, I don't know. It could be a couple different things. So I would spend a little bit of time after seeing that 7:35 that I wasn't expecting, to take inventory of like what's going on. And I'm not going to freak out no matter what it is, but if it's something that I can do something about, I want to start thinking about that. And all of this is happening while you are still running your 7:30 pace.
Right.
But that's the game. That's what, now that I'm running marathons for speed and it's a different activity than just running for completion, that's the game. The game is figuring it out while you're on the go, like you said, optimizing the details, flipping the knobs and dials that you have access to. I think in hindsight, I was probably short maybe one gel. I think also I was guilty of losing focus. I could probably pinpoint in my memory which exact moments. There's probably, if I did a full review, 4 or 5 details in hindsight where I can say, if I could go back and fix a detail there, I would have shaved another 30 seconds off or something like that. But that's the activity we're playing. It's that optimization problem. But it's not like, even if I had a perfect race, I wasn't doing sub 3 that day. Like, the body doesn't have that yet.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that here in a second, because I know CIM is approximately 8 months away, and that's the goal. But before we get there, I want to ask about running with Krista again, because I recently ran the Oakland Marathon, and I ran with Santino Williams, who is a member of our leadership team here at Run Try Bike, and he's a great friend of mine. And anytime I run a race with somebody, my rule is, look, we're going to run together, but if any one of us feels really good, do not hold the other person back. Like, just go, and don't have this idea of, I'm going to hang back with you if you feel great.
Yeah.
And at mile 16, 17, Santino stopped to use the porta potty.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, just go, I'll catch up. Well, I never saw Santino again the rest of the day until we came back in the other direction on the bridge.
Yeah.
And in my mind, that's the rule. That's what we're doing. I'm going to go, and if you catch up, you catch up. So when you're running with Krista, as you head into Tokyo, this is your A race. I want to do great at this event. Are there grounds rules for racing together?
Yeah, we talked about it. We set the rules. You're right. Those are the rules. When you guys are both serious and about the running life, it is the unspoken rule that, like, if someone's holding the other one back, you go and you get your best time. I feel pretty certain that if I was holding Krista back, that she would leave me. She's gonna hear this. She's gonna watch this, and she knows. She's gonna laugh and say, "You're damn right." I love her. I decided, we agreed to that, and I decided about a month before the race that I wasn't gonna leave her no matter what, because it's my real goal is sub 3, and I knew sub 3 was impossible that day. And the closer I got to the race, I realized, what's special about the race, it wouldn't be breaking 3:20. What would be special about the race is running it with Krista. So I knew I couldn't tell her that, like, there was no point in saying that to her.
Yeah.
Because she's a real run. She doesn't want to hear that shit. I'm not patronizing her, but when it came down to it, like, if she had, like, hurt herself and she needs to stop or whatever, I would have just stopped with her. Like, fuck my race. Like, that I'm running, then the A race turns into a B race. And then
Right.
I'll just run so hard. Don't worry about me. I get another chance. I get 2 races in this season.
I think what you're getting at here and what you're explaining by accident, in a way, is evaluating and grading, shall we say, ranking, I guess is the right word, events. Like, not every event is an A event. You have to understand what is the main goal and why are you pursuing it, in order to start to understand what you have to do in your training so that you hit that spot. And for you, the A number is sub 3. And leading into Tokyo and then Seoul, the body wasn't prepared to do that. And so you're going to race and you're going to run hard. That doesn't mean you take it easy. You don't just, lackadaisically cross the finish line. You're going to put in the effort because you've got to test yourself and all that other stuff. But simultaneously, if Krista wasn't having the day that she expected to have, you were okay with not pushing the envelope for yourself. And I think that is a really important distinction that a lot of runners don't make when it comes to setting a race schedule and setting their training up so that they can be successful at these things. How did you come about to understand what it's like to rank these things? Is it because your coach is helping you along the way, or were you already there and your coach is just facilitating it now?
So I've come to realize that many people who run and race marathons, what we're talking about is a big detail. Like, a lot of people actually lose sleep over this, or it causes anxiety. In fact, it's, like, quite common for not being able to figure out how to mentally categorize a race to cause anxiety. This is where I think me having really bad times for like 8 marathons, it really helps me out because my expectations are so low. It's so easy for me to be okay with some result that, like, didn't hit the mark, because, like, brother, I was not good at this for, like, a long time. I was really just satisfied with, like, having done the thing at all. So it is really easy for me to stay grounded on the perspective of I'm just grateful that I can run anywhere near this fast at all.
Yeah.
Mentally, I still feel like a 4 hour 30 guy or like a 10-minute mile guy. And so whenever I am running down like sub 7 miles in my head, I'm like, wee. I'm like, look how fast I am. This is fucking sweet. You know what I mean? Like you can't run like that normally. You have to earn it. And now I have it. And I get to like ride my little leg powered bike a couple
Yeah.
times a week. Yeah, it's special. So I'm just grateful. It's easy to connect with that.
And I think that's another key part of this whole journey, because there are people whose journey is finishing is the thing, whether that's 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, or 7:30. Like, finishing is the thing. And they're going to say to themselves, I'm finishing. For others, the idea is I started at 4:30 and now I want to get under 3.
Yeah.
And that's an individual goal to work towards. And when you're running sub 7, you're in your moment as well. And there is room in this running world for both of those and other things in between to exist. And I think sometimes we lose that perspective as well when it comes to, finish times, and distances is another one, right? Oh, you're not a real ultra runner until you run 100 miles. And nowadays it's probably you're not a real ultra runner unless you run 300 miles. Reality is we're all runners and we all have different reasons for getting here and doing the things that we're doing and the goals that we're trying to achieve. I love the idea that this conversation has gone from I'm running with my best running pal, I'm going to support her on her time, to I felt great being a Korean American in Korea and running with the run clubs. Like, that's all running, and they all have different levels of happiness for you in this world of running as you're making your way towards that sub 3.
Yeah. I'm glad we're talking about this because I think that if you are someone listening or someone that runs a lot and runs these races a lot, you race regularly, I think being happy while doing that is a very it's underrated how difficult that is. Because if you're chasing performance, it's so natural then to only be satisfied if whatever standard you set is achieved, which is why it's important to do things like you should set 2 goals: a reasonable goal, an achievable goal that ensures your happiness, and then a stretch goal that lets you shoot for the moon.
Yeah.
That you can also let yourself go on if you don't hit it. And you have to have these are sorts of tricks that experienced performance goal getters have to learn, because otherwise you run the risk of letting your emotions go haywire on you. And it's just another dimension to the many mental battles that come along with endurance sports. Like just you think running the race is bad enough, try being happy after you finish. That's like it's a 50-50, brother. It's, you would think you're always happy because you did this crazy thing, and yet it's not. The happiness eludes. So it's almost like the better you get at racing, the less happy you are.
Yes.
And
agreed.
So you can fix that, but you have to work at it on purpose.
When we decided to do this run club tour this year, I asked my wife, Lori, what does a 52-year-old male average finish time for a marathon is? Because I haven't run a standalone marathon in 14 years. And she said, she did the research and it was somewhere between 4:20 and 4:30. And I was like, okay, 4:15. And then I was like, well, I've run sub 4, man. Shit, I've run under 4 hours at the Ironman marathon. So I'm going to make 4 hours my goal. And as I'm sitting there, I was like, well, if you're going to shoot for 4 hours, why not 3:45? And so, I laid out this goal for myself at 3:45. We get to Oakland. I knew, like you did, going into Tokyo, that sub 3 was not a thing. So I knew going into Oakland, like 3:45 was not a thing. And I was like, but I think 4 hours is a thing. And as we're running, I got to like mile 20. And that's when I started to see 4 hours slip away. Mm-hmm. But I was okay with it because I was like, this is your first marathon in 14 years. You know how much shit you're relearning now? Yeah. Like what to put into your training, what to put into your fueling, what to put into your pacing. And so we're going to be racing Pittsburgh at the beginning of May as the second of the 3 marathons we run this year. And I can conceivably say to myself, I think somewhere between 3:45 and 4 hours is feasible because the fitness is now there. The mental aspect is there. And if I finish 4:02, I'm going to be happy because, look, I got through another event, hopefully uninjured. and like I think you're right. Like the more experience you have and understanding of your body and all of these things start to allow you to actually enjoy this stuff. But when you first get into it, it's really hard to do because you're also comparing yourself to a million other things that are out there on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, social media doesn't help with that. It's man, I'm telling you, you run marathons, being happy, staying happy gets harder and harder. I'm lucky. I think I do a decent job at it. Some people tell me it's one of my strengths is like the keeping it together mentally stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's coming through in the conversation. Like, because you could easily say to yourself, I thought I could get to 315. I hit 317.02. Man, there were so many places along the course where I fucked up and I really, and just put this pressure on yourself to rewind when you can't rewind. Now you just have to learn from the things and move forward and move this now into 317, 315. That's not the end goal. My end goal is 3 hours and under at CIM. And so I want to talk about that. So first of all, how did sub 3 become a goal? You just said to us you ran 4:30 when you got into the sport. So 90 minutes off of a marathon, you're talking about 3 minutes a mile that you're knocking off, which is no easy feat. So like, how did sub 3 become a goal?
If there's one thing I'm good at, it is dreaming big. For example, I am 5'7" tall, and I have before dreamed of dunking a basketball. Like, in fact, like several times, I'm convinced that like if I, stuck to the right plyometric program for like 2-3 months or whatever, that I could be dunking a basketball. That's how much irrational belief I can tap into.
We're cut from the same cloth because I'm also 5'6", bordering on 7, and think that I could have dunked as well.
I am 5'6 3/4". I know exactly. I would be lying if it was a full 5'7". I know anyway. But yeah, so Rio 403 in Rio was the first time that I had the audacity to believe that it could happen one day. And I've got like a running bucket list. It's like published on a Google sheet that it's like in my Instagram bio. But it's got 3 very simple goals. 1, run a marathon on every continent. 2, run every Abbott World Major. And then 3, which is sort of related because in order to get into Boston, I'm going to have to do this, is to run a sub 3-hour marathon or achieve a Boston qualifying time. They're pretty much the same thing. A couple years ago, they were exactly the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. Sub 3 is a nice round number. It was basically my BQ time. BQ is a pretty common running career milestone. I didn't think I was someone who could ever achieve a BQ until Rio. And then even after Rio, I knew it was years away.
Yeah.
I just, for the first time, had even like the little seed of belief that like it could happen. And that's what led me to get the coach. And when I got the coach, I asked her, can you take me to 3:30? Because I was always thinking stepping stones, right? I was always trying to have a reasonable outlook on how long this would take. And then,
Good for you.
And then we got to almost 3:30, and I'm like, oh shit, like she knows what she's talking about. Like this worked. You know what I mean? Like, and then, but I was still 3:36. I'm like, that's not 3:30. We said 3:30. And then I gave it another season. I did 3:21, and I'm like, like, oh, fast now. And then so like once I did 3:21, I knew it was a matter of time. Okay. Remember, I'm not going anywhere. I didn't do this to say like, I want to run a sub 3. And then after that, I'm like quitting. Like I'm going to probably do this for life. So as someone who has no problem looking forward to a lifetime of running 2 marathons a year, I get 3:21 in Chicago. And when I'm thinking about sub 3 BQ, I'm like, I got you now, bitch. Like we're going to get there one day. Like, I don't know if it's next year. I don't know if it's one after that, but like coming from a previous place of like, I don't even think that's possible. It was big for me to feel like my prey will run out of energy one day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna get you one day. Before, if someone was like, "You're never gonna get there," I would say, "You might be right." Like, I have to admit it.
Do you realize how much of a unicorn you are to have irrational confidence and the patience to reach that irrational confidence? Like that is uncommon. You understand that?
Oh, I love a well executed plan. Like my favorite part of my running career is that on one way to look at it is that this dude woke up one day and made like a 7-year plan and then actually did like I haven't executed any ambition that takes this much time and effort in my whole life. So just to have one thing where like I dared to dream and it was a shitload of work and then I actually did the thing and it like from that perspective, the longer it takes and the more effort is involved, the more of like a plan well executed flex it is. So I'm fully aware. It's what I'm most proud of. Who the fuck tries to run a marathon on all 7 continents? What kind of stupid goal is that? It's so expensive and it takes so long, and you get almost like nothing for it. Like I guess you get into the 7 continents club or whatever, but like no one cares. Like no one cares. This isn't really going to do anything for like my money or like,
Yeah.
but that's kind of the point. It's almost cooler that it's like worthless and pointless that.
But the waterfall effect of it is the confidence that you then
I can do
take
anything.
into the world. Like
I can do anything.
Yeah, like that's the beauty of this stuff is like it's not necessarily the execution and the result on race day, it's the confidence that gets built all along the way that you then take into your personal life off the course and the stuff that you can now say to yourself, I can start a business, I can go for that promotion, I can whatever it might be. Like there's just a cascading effect.
You don't have to convince me. Why do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I proudly say I'm going to do this for the rest of my life? If I started running and it sucked ass, I would have stopped. I would have just quit on the goal. For everyone listening, like it's actually a pretty sweet lifestyle if you just don't miss like getting drunk on Friday night,
Yeah, that's true. It is true. So let's talk about qualifying for Boston through sub 3 at CIM, because I will tell you the reason why my last marathon was 14 years ago because I tried to qualify for Boston and I fucking absolutely hated the training. I absolutely hated the training. I missed the qualifying time, Derrick, by like 15 minutes. I had to run 3:15. I ran 3:30, 3:31, something like that. And I just did not enjoy it whatsoever. And I may have been burnout at that time or whatever it was, but I was like, I'm done with this. So walk me through so far what's been happening. You're 2 weeks post race. So has it been recovery? And are you going to start getting into the meat grinder of interval work, tempo work, hill repeats, and all of that stuff?
God, I'm so glad you're asking me this. No one in my life really cares about this. So to have a platform where someone who cares about this, I can lay out the plan. So happy. I have 8 months until California International. A marathon training season is like 4.5 months. So normally I have less than a month in between training blocks. This time I got like 3.5 months of true off season. So It's very exciting. We're going to be using this off season to hyper focus on top speed development. So we're trying to go heavy with the single leg work and strength work, and we're trying to really focus on shorter distance races like a 1 mile race, 5K, a lot of track work. I'm very excited for this. The goal, before I even talk about the plan and the work and stuff, let me be clear. 317 to 259 is an ambitious goal. Okay.
Yes.
The lower you get in time, the harder each minute is to shave off. And I would say that Rio to Mission 330, which is 4 hours and 3 minutes down to 3 hours and 30 minutes, that 33-minute jump, which I did not make, is probably easier than 317 to 259.
Could not agree more.
So this 100%. Is my second time running my mouth on the internet, pointing to the bleachers and calling my shot and saying, I'm going to do this thing, right? And remember the last time I called it, I called it Mission 330. I did not achieve the goal. It's my second time, and I picked an even crazier goal. That was kind of the point, right? Like after Mission 330, I learned my lesson about calling a time goal, and then I called it Chasing Chicago and got my PR. And then with Tokyo, I went a different direction and didn't pick a time goal. And I think because my Tokyo block wasn't perfect, like the Chicago block, I worked hard. Like I was very, very proud of that season. I was locked in. I was post breakup, very locked in. Tokyo, there was like an injury and there was a nose surgery, and it just wasn't like a perfect block. So now I think I'm ready. Like there's a part of me that hungers for a more intense block, since the last one was like unsatisfying a little bit. So I think I'm ready to work. I'm very excited to work. And you said that you hated the work, and I feel that. There are times in the season where I'm like, God damn, like this is all I do, and it's just kind of a bitch, especially when the weights get heavy.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to be doing like stuff you can do 20 reps of, but when you're really trying to push your strength up and you're almost going to failure, it's just, then you got to eat so much food, and it's a bitch, right? So I get that.
I will add this in. So I ran the Las Vegas Rock and Roll, which was a night race. So instead of running at 4 or 5 a.m. and then having your whole day, I was going through my whole day and then trying to run at 5 or 6 p.m. at night and putting in, 10, 12, 16, 18 miles. So you're out there 2, 3, 4 hours. It's the end of the fucking day. Like I just want to go to bed, and I'm out here running 2.5 to 3 hours.
It's annoying. I mean, the time commitment. People think when you're starting out with running that it's so hard to physically do the running, but at some point, physically it's fine. It's the time management that is just so annoying about the lifestyle. But I am at a good point in my life and career for this. I'm relatively unattached, relatively low responsibilities, and I'm really interested in seeing what my body can do and peak at, because I'm 38, which is a decent time peak wise for distance running. And I don't really want to, I would love to sub 3, because if I sub 3, I think I'm done training for speed, possibly forever. Like I may have like a minimum level I want to stay at, but like, I don't know if I'm going to keep chasing down into 250 and 240 and all that. Like, why? I ain't going to the Olympics. Like, no one's really, if the Travel Channel is going to buy my show, like, please, like I'll do stuff for that. But
right.
If I'm just like making my vlogs and stuff, like I'm not, the commitment to get lower than sub into 250s and down, I don't know if that's what I want. So I'm hoping that this could be my last season going this hard. And if it is, and while I'm still this good age and like everything is like working together, let me hit it hard then.
Yeah.
And so let's just for, I'm prepared for this. You could argue I've been practicing for 11 seasons now. So like if anyone's mentally ready and physically prepared to like attempt this unreasonable push, which I think is physically possible, I just have to be smart about it, train efficiently, and do all the things correctly and stuff. It's like, why not? And I like the idea that it's like a borderline unachievable goal, because it's not my real goal. Like I know how to do reasonable goal versus stretch goal. So really sub 3 is a stretch goal. If I get anything under 310, I crushed it. Like a 10-minute improvement off of 317 is bonkers.
It's right? Bonkers, dude.
It's bonkers. If I actually hit sub 3, I'm a freaking legend. And if I documented the whole thing, like, well, it's legendary. I mean, it's not like the craziest thing you've ever seen on the internet, 10 million followers, whatever. But my point is like, it's a darn ambitious goal, which good goals are. And I rate it at probably like a 15% chance of success.
Yeah,
fuck it, dude. Let's go. let me find out. If it's an 85% chance to fail, throw the dice. Right. Let me see. Yeah. What if it's that 15%?
That's it. Right.
Then I'm talking all that shit, dude. I'm talking all the shit.
We always worry about the failure, but what if you succeed, as the old cliche says, right? Like the what if you succeed is where the focus should be,
I mean,
not what if I fail.
and I'm sure you have experience with this, but for anyone listening, like, have you ever rolled the dice for the 15% and hit? Like, you know how good that feels? It's the shit.
Yeah, it's amazing. I will twice when I was racing Ironman, I broke 4 hours, and those were in the last two out of the last three events I raced at the Ironman distance. So for the first five, I was chasing that sub 4 hour marathon, and while also trying to be excellent on the bike. And so the fine line that you're racing of pushing hard on the bike and having enough energy to go under 4 hours at the marathon is really fine line. But I would always push myself. And I remember in 2014 at Ironman Chattanooga, on what I perceived to be the hardest Ironman marathon course that I've raced on, I ran 4:02. And I was like, I am so close. Yet 121 seconds seemed like an eternity, right?
Mhm.
And then I broke 4 hours at the next year Ironman Florida, and it wasn't satisfying. I was like, yeah, I did it, but so what? Right? I want to do it again. And when I did it the following year at Ironman Louisville, that's when leaning into that 15%, because it's a hillier course, it's a tougher run course than Florida, and I broke it and I beat the Florida time by 3 or 4 minutes. That is when that was hitting that mark on the 15% and being like, I fucking did it. Like, this is it. I did it.
Yeah. It's, I really, it's good to set goals and everything, but you know, when, like, you know, and your body knows what kind of performance you gave.
Yeah.
Like, if you had too much left in the tank, you know, like I said, it doesn't apply to the first couple races. But once you get used to it, you're really, the goal is to have nothing left. That's what feels good, is knowing that you gave it your best effort. Even if you got a shitty result,
Right.
if you gave it everything and you know you gave it everything, I feel good about that.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't have done any better.
I think you made a great point there too, right? When you first get into this stuff, you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know pacing, you don't know energy restores and all of that stuff. And so the idea of going from, and we're going to use your 4:30, going from 4:30 to 4 hours is easier because you're learning what your body can actually do. When you get into the where you're at and going from 3:17 to under 3:10 to under 3 hours, you're questioning, can my body do this, right? Because you're like, I've given it my all to get to 3:17. And you said yourself, you felt like you could go to 3:15. You didn't say you felt like you can go to 3:10. And so now when you start this next block, there's that, it's not a mental hurdle, but there's a number on the books that says this is what it's at. And so now you're trying to figure out what dial do I need to tweak? What knob do I need to turn to get from 317 down to 309 down to 259? And it's little stuff. It's not this grandiose thing that's going to pop up and be like, dude, you've been doing it wrong for 11 marathons. Here's what you need to do now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're achieving that much success, you're doing something right. I'll tell you, like, mentally, I know how to press the gas pedal. I know how, like, you know, early on in my racing, that was more of an issue, was like just wanting it more, or mentally being tough enough to fight your body saying, I don't got it, I can't do it. Now my body's a little bitch. Like, I win that argument 10 times out of 10. I will probably injure myself before my driver in my brain says, like, that's enough, we can't run anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or I'll know, I can choose to keep driving until the doors are falling off.
Yep.
And that's a skill. And then now I know, oh, we pushed the car to the red line, to the limit, got to get a bigger engine. That's what we're doing this offseason, is we're going to work on building up the engine, because now we're there. Now we're at the point where the driver can handle this engine. We need a bigger engine.
Yeah, and you get that honestly only through experience of knowing what it is that you need to do. And if you have a coach like you do, allowing them to coach you to do those things and help you work through those scenarios, so that come race day, they have you yourself have done the work to put yourself in a position to be successful, but they've also helped you to get to that point to be successful so that when the gun goes off and you cross that starting line, it's all systems go and you don't stop until you cross that last timing mat under the finisher's arch.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you train well and you prepare well, you're gonna perform well.
Here's a question for you. So I'm a big believer in understanding where you are at fitness wise as you head into an event.
Hmm.
And racing to your fitness level
Mhm.
allows you to accept the result a little bit easier
Hmm.
than racing to a level of fitness you believe you have that you don't
Hmm.
actually have. And that also takes experience.
Hmm.
16-week training block, 20-week training block. Yeah, but 3 of those I was sick, 2 of those I was traveling,
Mhm.
and the other ones I had like a hamstring pull. Well, if you go into that event thinking you're going to set a PR, there's a very good chance you're not going to because for 8 out of the 16 weeks, you just
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So when do you follow that same line of thinking? Like I know what my body is capable of, and I'm going to race to that fitness level.
No. Hell no. I I think of my body like a horse. And like, you know, maybe the horse is like sleepy that day. Like I don't know what I mean, I know roughly how fast my horse is and how big the muscles are, and I know what my lifts look like. But every race, every race day is different. Even if you try to control all the variables and like eat the same things and maintain all the variables you can, I, I like I like race plans that are just around level of effort. Like I don't like the ones that are like be at this pace for this many miles and then this one. Can how about like can I warm? How about let's do this. I'd like to warm up for like 1 or 2 miles, and then
Yeah.
I'd like to go some steady pace for like 13. And then after that, I'd like to see if I can kick it up a little bit more. And then in the last 6 miles, every 2 miles, I'll try to go up a gear if I have it. And
Yeah.
on the last 1 or 2, I'd like to empty the gas tank. And I just kind of go by feel on those things.
Makes sense.
And I'll be aware of my time. I'll check it if I'm targeting a time. I'll be aware if I'm like ahead or behind of that time. But I don't know. I find that if someone tells me to aim for a time, it would be a shame if my body was stronger than that and I limited my body mentally
Yeah.
because we undersold what it could do. I guess the risk is like you overwork your body and like don't leave enough for the end. Okay, maybe that happens. We'll find out. And if that's what happens in my race, we'll like do the retrospective. I'll like think about it. I go, oh, guess I was too confident. Guess I should have like reserved some earlier. But that hasn't been what's happened. I've always felt like I've finished the race with a little bit left in the tank. So if there's always been more in the tank, the risk isn't for me personally, the risk isn't like using up my gas too early. It's not pushing hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's always been, in my opinion, my weakness is I have more and I don't use it all up. And if you wanted to like extrapolate that into like a life thing, I think that's the same as people who are not fully confident in their own abilities. Like they're better than they give themselves credit for, so they hold themselves back. And that like resonates with me in some parts of my life. So I think for my running and racing style, it's a perpetual challenge to unlock myself. Other people have different problems. Like everyone's racing style is unique, but that's what it is for me, which is why Soul was magical, because I had like this ultimate ethnic cultural fuel to like unlock the part of my brain that decides like how hard to go. We sent it hard that day. I didn't give everything, but I gave damn near close to it.
I love the fact that everybody is different because my racing philosophy is all gas, no brakes. And when I like my wife will tell you, she's like, I don't know many other people who will just slam on the gas pedal and are willing to have that car run out of gas at mile 10, mile 15, mile 20, wherever your body will take you on that day, you're willing to do it. I used to be afraid of DNFs, but now I'm like, look, if it happens, it happens. It just wasn't my day. But not everybody's going to race that way. Other people are going to race so that they have the ability to kick it up a notch at the end of the event and push for it. And I just think that's the beauty of running, where there is no one way to do this stuff. Like, we all have different personalities, different training regimens, different lives, and we have to do the thing that is best for us. And I think that that's the beauty of running in general.
And who's to say what even is best? Like, best in what way? Like, do what the fuck you want. Like, if you like running, gunning it from the beginning, like, fucking do it. And like, okay, maybe you DNF or maybe you run slower at the end or whatever. Like, guess what? You're not a pro. No one's paying you. Like, whatever. Like, if you enjoyed doing your hobby that way, I just don't understand who can tell me not to do it the way that I fucking want to do it. This is crazy. And it just so happens that, like, you know, the pacing strategy my coach gave me, like, jives with me. I like it. I'm down for that. But I don't know. Like, it's, if someone told me like that's the wrong way or like you should do it this, I'm like, how do you know? Is there like a ultimate way? Like, if there is one ultimate way, we should all be on that shit. And I don't think we are. So just, and again, like, this is for fun. We're not, most of us are not pros. So if you're not hurting yourself, just, you know, enjoy the activity.
That's right. Hey, dude, we have gone well over an hour and I appreciate your time. I want to end the conversation with you simply by asking you, because you have a guitar in the background. I want to ask you, what are you listening to today, whether you're out on your runs or you're sitting around your house? What's the music, or maybe it's a podcast or an audiobook? What are you listening to today?
I've been listening to I don't know, it's controversial, but I've been listening to a lot of Kanye West lately. That shit has been hitting, like, ever since when I was in Korea. I don't know. He's on tour right now, and his new stage production like looks insane. But his music is, a lot of it's very good for like big epic moments. So when I was like in, you know, mental kill zone of the Seoul Marathon, it was a lot of Kanye West, a lot of his older stuff. Yeah, and then like, not necessarily a podcast, but like audiobook wise, there's this like audiobook. It's not really audiobook. There's this book called Dungeon Crawler Carl that my friends have been recommending. So I'm trying to listen to that. But I mean, I usually listen to music.
Awesome. Derrick, thank you so much for your time. We'll have to get you back on the show after CIM and see how all of the training and race day went for you. I appreciate you.
Let's bet on that 15%.
That's it. It's like rolling the dice at the craps table. We're betting on 15.
Betting on hard 8, baby.
Thanks, brother. I'll see you.
Thank you.
For those of you that hung around for the hour and change that Derrick and I chatted, thank you so much. Time is the greatest gift that we can give to each other, and you gave Derrick and I the gift of your time. Please remember to subscribe, rate, review, and comment on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. We have a number of different shows, so you'll find something to your liking on the network, and I'm asking you for 5 stars. And if you're inclined to give us anything less than 5 stars, email me first, jason@runtrimag.com, before you do, because I would love to hear what we can improve upon, just like in running. What can we improve upon to earn your 5 stars? Come back next week as we talk to Natalie Lutz and her goals of getting under a 3-hour marathon as well, which will be a lot of fun, and comparing and contrasting to Derrick. So have a great one, everybody. Appreciate you.